Hey, what is up, everybody? Jason Steiner here, the VA boss, and welcome to today's live show. I am super excited about my guest today, my friend Morgan. But before we get to that, just a couple of things. We are streaming live to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you have not gone over to my YouTube channel and hit subscribe, please do that. Do me a favor. There's a lot of great things. Have your clients, anybody go over there and do that as well. That would be awesome. I would certainly appreciate it. But everybody knows that if you don't, I'm a big supporter of the military spouse community. Both of my teammates are both military spouses, Laura and Jillian, and try to support them in whatever way that I can, either through, advocacy, through things that they're involved in, employment, whatever that looks like. So that's why my guest today, Morgan, I'm super excited that she's here because she is a military spouse. She's a mortgage pro and a few other things in between. And we're super excited to have a conversation with her today. So let's get this started.
You ready? Let's go.
There she is.
Hey,
my
Jason.
friend Morgan, all the way from San Antonio, Texas.
It's not very far. Come on.
Not very far from where I'm
Everything.
country, so it's good for them to know where you are. So, well, Morgan, thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule today. I know you are super busy. So thank you for being here. I know you're busy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you. This is my first live, so.
Well, we will take it easy on you. I promise.
Go easy on me.
Just like you and I talking on the phone. No big deal. So, all good. But I appreciate you taking time because I know you're busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you and I have talked about the military spouse community and things that we can do for them. And I kind of want to give people just a little bit of background on you. So obviously military spouse, you've PCS with your husband.
Yes.
And you are in the mortgage business and kind of carried your mortgage business with you. So talk a little bit about that. Talk about where you started with him and kind of how you ended up where you are.
So we met out at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. I'm originally from California, but moved out there during high school. And so we met there while he was stationed at Pope, at the 14th ASOS out there. And not too long ago, after him being stationed there for 12 years, we got orders to San Antonio. And so here we are. It was our first PCS, obviously.
Yeah.
Definitely an eye-opener. I see what everyone's talking about now firsthand.
For sure.
So
I wanted to say this before we get into the PCS thing, but because we were talking the other night about your husband got to do something really cool at the motor Supercross. So
yeah.
just so you guys know, your husband is a TAC-P, right?
Yes.
Okay. So for those that are watching, tactical air controller, special operations in the Air Force. So tell them was one of the coolest things. I had a lot of friends at the Supercross, so they got to see it live. So tell them what he got to do. It's pretty cool.
So he actually got to, right at the beginning of Supercross is this big motocross event. And at the very beginning, while they're doing the national anthem and everything, him and a group of the guys he works with actually had the opportunity to fast rope down from the ceiling with an enormous American flag. And it was emotional for people watching it on the internet. So I can only imagine what the vibe was there. But he is huge into motocross. He loves motocross.
Yeah.
And so it was extra special because it was something that he's really passionate about, but he also got to represent the Air Force at the same time, be a part of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is super cool. I mean, I saw it from the video that you posted online. I was like, that is probably one of the cooler things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it looked like.
And I had friends of me texting me, told me they were there, and I'm like, I know him. I know his wife. That's cool.
I kind of know that guy.
Yeah, no, that it was one of the cooler things I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of American flag displays in my travels through the years, and that was one of the cooler things I've ever seen. So anyway, so your first PCS. Yeah. Yeah.
Just one more.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. Because obviously you and I help a lot of military members in our business. Okay. So I want to hear for our listeners to hear just a few things of what you experienced in the PCS process for yourself. I mean, what was that like? First PCS, all that stuff. Talk a little bit about that.
Honestly, it could have been worse. We moved ourselves. I don't know that we'll do that ever again. Conversation for another day. But
sure.
we did. We moved ourselves, and we took our time. We weren't in any super rush to come to Texas, and we were able to stop and see some of our friends at other duty stations along the way because it was, right in the path. And so, I mean, you hear about these horror stories where everything that goes wrong could go wrong. We're really lucky that we didn't run into that, but we definitely did not allow the amount of time that we should have in getting ready to PCS. I mean, like 2:00 in the morning, we're like cramming a motocross bike into the back of a U-Haul. So we will definitely plan a little bit differently on the time management side of it in the future. I think we'll just leave like one day where absolutely nothing is planned because something's going to fall through the cracks. And so,
for sure. So we had a guest on LinkedIn that asked what PCS means. So PCS means permanent change of station. So that is a military move, basically. So when you guys moved, did you buy a house when you guys got to San Antonio? Or are you guys renting, or what does that look like?
We rode the wave of this market in an ultimate way. Glad you asked about that. So we're actually really fortunate. I flew out in January and scoured San Antonio to really see where we wanted to be at. And when I did that, kind of narrowed it down to the northwest side, and we decided to build a home. And so, as we all know, timelines right now not really conducive to that. It's supposed to be done sometime in the August timeframe, and we ended up having to get an apartment for about 7 months until our house was done in December. So, whenever we have clients that come up and they're building, they need temporary housing, considering purchasing new construction, it's definitely its own conversation to have because delays are everywhere.
Yeah. So, one of the things that we see in this process is, where are you going to go when you get to your new duty station? And those delays, people may have to store their household goods, find temporary lodging, stay in TLF for temporary lodging for those that don't know, and it is a very delicate dance.
It is. It really is. My biggest concern is always, always, always having a roof over your head when you get to your new duty station. Like my worst nightmare is something taking too long. And now you're living in a hotel room with a cat, a dog, 2 toddlers, and you're like looking for quarters in the seats of your car so you could wash the same clothes you've been wearing for 3 days. Like that is always my biggest concern when someone says they're PCSing. So,
for sure. So let's talk about, what was the biggest stress for you? Because you and I have talked, and people who know me know, my biggest thing is I want to try to take some of the stress, or what we can control, the stress in the mortgage process, off that military family. Yeah. So what was your biggest stress in the PCS process?
I asked my sister about that this morning. She was like, "Oh, time management for sure. You were stressed on time." And she's right. So, when you're leaving a duty station, you have all this out processing that you have to do. You have to pack up an entire household. You think you have time, but you don't have time. And, you're getting medical records and you're trying to say goodbye to all of your friends and your colleagues. And if you own a home, you're trying to get that ready to be sold or to be rented out, or even if you're moving out of a rental, you need to clean it. And so that was definitely the biggest stressor for me. I actually, once we drove everything to Texas, we flew back to North Carolina to finish up getting my house ready for a renter. And so definitely the time management side of it.
Yeah. So is that the biggest piece of advice you might give a PCSing family is a lot for the time?
I would say watch for the time and do your research for the place that you're going, especially if you haven't been stationed there before. not everybody's in a position where they can hop on a plane and go scour the city for 3 days to see what area they want to live in, what schools, where they're located at, how long does it take to get from here to here, how long would it take to get to work from, if we buy a house in this area. So time management and doing your research. The internet is a beautiful, beautiful thing. You can go on there and look at, crime stats and ask for advice from friends that have already lived there or currently stationed there. There's military spouse pages. There's a plethora of them at every duty station, but we're looking for opinions and experiences on military spouse pages.
Yeah.
If you want to know if these people in this area really like the school or what the traffic is like, or if you hear a lot of artillery from base living in this area, those are, that's something great for military mil spouse page. But if you have questions about VA loan guidelines or honestly anything in relation to a mortgage, you need to talk to a licensed mortgage loan officer. We don't take medical advice and tax advice from people on Facebook. We don't want to take mortgage advice from people on Facebook either. Same thing with real estate transactions, like the legalities of buying and selling. You want to talk to a licensed realtor.
Yeah,
because those things are changing all the time.
I see that a lot. I mean, I'm obviously not a spouse, and I'm not in the spouse pages, but I get a lot of screenshots sent to me of some of these things in these spouse pages. So for those of you listening, the biggest piece of advice that we as mortgage pros can give you is take the advice from the loan officer who actually knows the ins and outs of the VA loan. That's number one.
Yes.
Number two, make a connection with an agent through either a network or someone who deals with military and the VA home loan process as a usual part of their business. Because a lot of loan officers, like that we know out there, a lot of real estate agents, they may only do 3 or 4 VA deals a year, maybe 6, maybe 8. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but the way I work is that, I want to deal with pros, and that's people who are subject matter experts at that particular topic. And I think that there's a different route. So do your homework. Rely on your relationships to be able to do that, to bet them. Because I saw your post the other day and I loved it because I'm very outspoken. Obviously, that's not a shock to people who know me. But
no.
I'm a big deliverer. I want to deliver the truth. And this is not all fun and games, right? You're talking about people's lives moving halfway across the country or sometimes from around the globe.
Yeah.
Right? And my biggest fear as a mortgage professional is if that military family shows up at their duty station with no place to go.
Yeah.
That should be everyone's fear.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a ton of misinformation out there, and it can make a huge difference in someone's experience and whether or not they even want to buy a home anymore. I mean, I saw someone telling somebody that they can go to JAG and get a durable power of attorney to purchase a home because their spouse was about to deploy to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot close on a VA loan with that. And this person might have, thought, okay, well, I don't have to worry about that. We're just going to get a durable POA. It doesn't work that way. I've seen people say, oh no, don't use your VA loan, use an FHA loan.
Yeah. Well, we see that a lot. Conventional, hey, your VA loan can't compete. You're going to have to go conventional. And look, we're not so blind to the fact of what this market is. But most of these problems that we run into in our daily lives are due to one factor: the ignorance of the benefit. Mm-hmm. Not because of the benefit itself.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that a little bit. So obviously you're in Military City. San Antonio is huge, active bases and whatnot. So, Fort Bragg is a little bit, you're talking one of the largest Army installations in the world.
Yeah.
Housing special operations and the 82nd Airborne and everything in between. What were are your experiences different from the mortgage side from North Carolina to Texas, or are you still running into the same issues?
In Texas, I'm actually finding that there's a lot more misinformation floating around regarding the VA loan than there. I mean, Fort Bragg is the largest U.S. military installation. Like people there, we know VA like the back of their hand, because it's most of what they see. It's most of their buyers. But while Texas is a huge hub for the military, both active duty and retired, it has amazing retirement benefits. There's still a lot of misinformation out there. And so I would say that is the biggest difference. Sometimes you'll see where people say, oh, I don't want to go with a VA loan because there's so many rules. Well, it's actually like the most flexible loan product that exists.
Right. For sure.
So, there's so many things you could do with a VA loan that would never fly with, a conventional loan or a FHA loan or USDA loan. And so I think there's just a lot of misinformation and a lot of, ignorance to it that is going around.
Right.
So,
I agree. And one thing that we're trying to change, is to get more education in the communities, both from the consumer standpoint and the agent standpoint. For those that will listen, we're going to do some classes and events, hopefully in San Antonio soon.
mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to do that. Yeah.
Well, things are always changing, we have guidelines that are changing. We have loan limits that are changing. I talked to someone the other day who thinks they can have one VA loan at a time.
Mhm.
You can have three.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is that you get people that may think, oh, well, everybody knows that, right? Or that's understood. Well, in our world, in the mortgage world, especially dealing with VA loans, it's not understood. And this is where I think that we can fail them, people like your husband and yourself who are moving around and doing all these things, because we think it's understood.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to get that information to the marketplace.
Mhm.
Right? And I think, and that's through our, through education, through our partners, through, military charities or veteran charities or anything that we can get that information to create influence.
Yeah.
And influence is the biggest thing. And that's what I'm excited about, our opportunity for San Antonio, because you're there now and we have people who are truly advocates for this benefit. And that's what excites me. So, you've been in the mortgage business how long?
Oh God, I suppose started into mortgages at Navy Federal in 2018, and in 2020, I actually left Navy Federal about 2 weeks after COVID shut everything down.
Nice.
And I've been at Movement ever since, and it is a total flip flop. It is a total difference in the process, in the relationships that buyers have with the company that's doing their mortgage. It's totally different. I can't imagine ever going back to like a large financial institution.
So would you say that's the biggest thing for you in making that transition from Navy Fed, which obviously is a huge player in the military world?
Mm-hmm.
No affiliation to the Navy for those listening at home. Would you say that's the biggest transition? Is that relationship thing? If this is more like a conveyor belt type system, and now it's more relational for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. And I mean, you're looking at a company that offers a product because it's convenient, but it's not their bread and butter. It's not the sole focus.
Right.
And it is very, very conveyor belt, good luck getting a hold of somebody. But when you work with a local lender, you're going to be working with the same 1, 2, 3 people, depending on how large the team is, from the time you have that first conversation to the time that you get to the closing table and we're, exchanging keys and popping bottles and we're celebrating that you just bought a house.
Right.
So it's a totally different experience. I have my clients can text me. We talk on the weekends. You need to update a pre-approval letter. You're putting in an offer. You want me to call the listing agent? My pleasure. I'd be happy to do that. Those are things that you don't get when you are working with a gigantic financial institution. Mortgages is all we do.
Right.
It is our sole focus.
Yeah. And I think that's a very important point. And it's not a slight at Navy Fed or US or people like, it's just,
no, not at all.
Right. I mean, I came from the banking world from years ago, and the banking mentality and the mortgage mentality are not really the same. So it's just a distinction to make in how you choose. And so, obviously your husband being in special operations and things is that, there's that force multiplier aspect. We want to surround ourselves with people that make us better.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And I think that's a big distinction to make in this process. So let's talk a little bit about, we kind of touched on it about, have you gotten and reached out to any local charities there in San Antonio from the charitable side since you've been there?
So I'm still pretty new here. I
Mhm.
haven't found a military affiliated nonprofit just yet. There are so many of them to go through. And it's finding that one that I have that special connection with, but that I can also be of a true service to. So I'm still trying to find a military affiliated one.
Yep.
However, I've been volunteering with Blueprint Ministries in downtown San Antonio, which is a nonprofit that helps in the restoration of substandard housing. They're in the 7 lowest income zip codes in San Antonio, which are actually some of the lowest income zip codes in the country.
Oh, wow.
And then my awesome branch manager, he actually linked me up with the Children's Bereavement Center of San Antonio. They provide counseling services to children who are suffering a loss, whether it's a parent, a friend, aunt, uncle, anybody. And they do it at no cost. And that hits home for both him and I, because we both lost parents very young. And so I'm looking forward to supporting children in our local community here as they go through like a healthy navigation of the incredibly difficult emotions that come with losing someone you love at such a young age.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's super important. And I want everybody to hear me when I say this, is that, we do mortgages for a living, but our slogan is we are more than mortgages. And it's because we want to try to affect people's lives on whatever level that speaks to us from a personal perspective.
yeah.
Movement builds schools, and we go build churches in third world countries, and we do all these things because honestly, it's what's required. And I think working alongside people who have that same vision, along with the personal side of it, but also the business side, those two can walk hand in hand, and they need to. And with our initiative through Movement Military and the things that we're building right here in Texas and in our region in New Mexico and Oklahoma, because the opportunities are here to truly affect change, it's going to be fantastic. We're obviously gaining momentum doing it, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited that you and I get to spend time together to do this. And we talk a lot, even off, doing things like this, about various issues that we can make a difference in.
Yeah.
That's what matters, right? We do our job, but we are not our job. And it makes it pretty special. So, so what states are you licensed in?
I am licensed in North Carolina, Georgia, and Texas. So I'm able to help clients.
Big bay states. So you chose license there. Very well done.
Yeah.
That's very good. So if you're hearing this, you can reach out to Morgan for Texas, Georgia, and North Carolina. She'll be happy to help you. So as we wrap up, just one piece of advice you would give a PCSing family? Just one thing.
Make the best of it. Like, there's going to be hiccups and things are going to go wrong, but you know what? It's a crazy and amazing lifestyle that we live, and all we can do is take it one day at a time. And when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Like, you might need to add some vodka to it sometimes. That's okay. We'll make the lemonade.
Lemonade. I like it.
This is when you're in the military community, there's a lot of choices you don't get to make, and there's a lot of things out of your control, but the best thing that you can do is just move forward lean forward with a positive mindset, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, no, I think that's wise words, and I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
It's awesome, and I'm excited about what we get to do here and walking alongside you to do that. I'm excited about it because having people who share your same vision, as it relates to helping military through the VA home loan benefit, helping the spouse community, is important to me, and I know it's important to us. And that's why this little team that we've assembled here, to me, is super important because we have the same vision. and we're going to act on it, and we're going to get out there and do the right things for those people. So thank you for your time today. I surely appreciate you. And if you need to get in touch with Morgan, how would they get in touch with you?
You guys can call me, email me, text me. Probably don't message me on Facebook if we're not friends, because it goes to a little grave site of Facebook messaging.
Yep.
But I'm on emails the best. I'm always in front of my
They can
emails.
find you on Facebook. They can find you on Instagram.
Pretty much
maybe?
anywhere. Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic. So socially stalk Morgan. Just kidding. But Morgan, thank you for your time. We appreciate you, and look forward to many more days of serving right alongside you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
So we want to thank Morgan. We're super stoked for this conversation. If you have any questions or anything, post some comments down here. And remember, go to YouTube, subscribe, share this out with your friends, any other military spouses that you may know that may need this. And we appreciate you guys. We will see you next time on the VA Boss Live Show. Take care.